Good afternoon, guys. Hey, it's Dr. Alan Levy here, and at C1 Family Chiropractic, we like to share what we know because health matters more than ever. Last night we had a workshop on balance and vertigo and dizziness, etc. And several people had asked me to share with them this, some of the information that we put out yesterday in the conversation and discussion. And unfortunately, we didn't video it. So I thought I'd take a minute right now and share with you a few of the things we discussed. All right? Balance and issues are high on the list of the reasons that people go to the doctor. People go to the doctor for back pains, probably one of the top number one reasons that people actually go to the doctor. Not too far behind that, or very close, is dizziness, balance issues, vertigo, if you will, vertiginous symptoms is very high on the list, right? And as is temporomandibular joint dysfunction. And then of course you'll notice I'm wearing glasses. And you go, well, why? They're all linked. That's the bottom line. They are all linked. One without the other. It's in a cluster. If we looked at it, it'd probably take up most of your visits to the doctor. And there's a connection, right? And so what I wanted to share, because people keep asking me about dizziness quite frequently, I mean like 3, 4, 5 times a day, about what's going on. They're like, hey, there's something wrong with my ears. Doc says I got stones in my ear. Whoa. Let's back up just a little bit and let's sort of put it all together, connect all the dots, if you will. So number one, in order for you to have any kind of upright posture and feel a sense of centeredness and control and grace and be able to stand, walk, run, jump, all the amazing things that we can do, we have to have what we know an understanding of and what you know as proprioception. In other words, how do you know where yourself is in space, right? How do I know if my hand is level, right, and I close my eyes, how do I know it's pointing up and not down, right? How do you know? Well, there's all kinds of sensory organs in our body that tell our brain, that coordinate, right here, the posterior aspect of our brain, that coordinate this information for us, taking in all the information that we have and then expressing it in the posture and movement and balance that you've come to experience and enjoy, right? We call that proprioception. And it's so amazing that our body, our brain can take in all this sensory information and inputs and process it in a way. I mean, you remember that baseball play, that great baseball, the ball was in the air, it was in the sun, and you could tell it was coming down, and the player lost complete sight of the ball, reached behind his head and caught it anyway, right? Or that basketball player who's at the free throw line and he sets up and time again, swoosh. You're like, how do you even do that? Or they're turned and you can't even see it, and whew, there it goes. And bang, it's in. It's a hit. How did they do that? Well, that's how amazing our brain is at taking all that information in, all those sensory inputs, processing them, and then putting it back out into our body into some sort of action. And it's amazing. Well, what happens when you don't get enough sensory inputs into that system? You get dizzy. You lose the ability to maintain balance, posture, and sometimes you get the spins. We call, the benign paroxysmal positional vertigo, right? And then and then we go, hey, there's something wrong with my ears. I got little things in my ears and they're out of place. The doctor told me I needed to do something about, right? And yes, that's part of it, but that's not the whole story. The story begins with down regulation of our body, right? We use it or we lose it. So let's connect all the dots. Your body's a sensory organ. The muscles of your body are full of sensory nerve endings that are feeding information to the brain, as are your joints. Every joint of your body, from your toes all the way up to your jaw, is full of sensory organs telling the brain where those joints are at any given moment. And just like your eyes, so your nose, your eyes, your ears, your jaw, your spine, right? Go figure, the spine guy, right? Your spine, and the muscles of your body and the joints of your body all sending information in. And what happens as we get older? We don't use them very well. You know, we only use what we need, right? We sit at a desk, we read all the time, we're on the one device or another, right? Our hearing is failing, our eyesight is failing. Look at my glasses, right? And that visual system is declining, for example, so we're not getting as good of visual inputs, so I have to wear glasses, right? My hearing is diminishing, so I turn the volume up a little louder. You know, I get a little hearing aid, right? I don't play on the playground anymore. I don't run with my children as much as I should, like I did when I was a child, right? We don't exercise, we don't move as much. And so as we do that, this system, this proprioceptive system is down-regulating, and when it gets low enough, we get out of balance. And now we're having a problem. We're stumbling, we're crawling, maybe we drop things more than we used to, right? Maybe we trip or stumble more often, or find ourselves, I was just standing there, Doc, and my knee gave away, right? Or I turned my head and all of a sudden I got nauseous in my stomach. I didn't feel quite right, right? Doc, I felt like I had put on a drunk. I mean, the room was spinning like you have no idea, right? And why is that? Well, isn't that the same thing that we do? When alcohol depresses the system, and if it gets depressed low enough, then we lose all our sensory proprioceptive control, right? And if we go far enough, we drink too much alcohol, we get to alcohol poisoning or downregulate enough. Now the room is spinning, nothing is still, our body is trying. Really what's happening is our body is craving that motion and is seeking it, right? And we've seen this in toddlers. We see this, why do we call them toddlers? Because they're toddling, they're falling down, right? They're learning how to walk. So they move a lot back and forth, right? And they're moving and touching and crawling and feeling and everything because they're seeking more information. The same thing happens when your brain and your body are down-regulated, you use it or lose it, and then now we start seeking more sensory inputs because motion is food for the brain. So, you say, hey, I'm dizzy. And I start looking for those areas of the body that are no longer getting good sensory input because they're simply not moving well, right? I might suggest or recommend, hey, it's time to get back to exercising regularly. You have to move your body. I like cross-crawl pattern moving. So walking, right? Swimming, riding your bike, bicycling. If you're really dizzy, you better be on a stationary bike, right? I don't want you falling off, but we have to get this cross-crawl pattern working. If it's really bad, get on all fours and crawl like a child, right? Like that baby learning, walking. Because these movements will help drive sensory inputs into the brain. It might be a good idea to take shoes off and get barefooted and get connected to the ground. You want to drive information up. Then, as a chiropractor, I look for dysfunction within the body, right? Restricted joints. Because if a joint, like my elbow, if it was fixated and not moving, it's not sending information, proper motion information to my brain. And if it's not sending that proper motion information to my brain, I get enough of those, and guess what? I am down-regulated, and now I have a problem. So as a chiropractor, if you had a joint like the elbow that had restricted motion, I would put motion back into it. That's what we do, right? We do that with the spine. We start at the spine as a chiropractor. I start at the spine, and then I work my way out. You can say, well, okay, what about the jaw and the neck? Okay, well, remember the highest volume of sensory motor neuron right up here, right? These sensory organs, the highest density is right up here in the upper cervical area, right? So I'm definitely going to look and make sure that your neck and the joints of your spine and your neck are moving properly so that you can get the information to the brain, right, that it needs. Temporomandibular joint is full of these kinds of sensory organs. So you might come in and say, my jaw clicks, I grind my teeth, my dentist wants to give me an appliance. I open my mouth and sometimes it gets stuck. It clicks, it pops, it bangs, it hurts. Well, those sensory organs not sending information in. So oftentimes, chiropractor I am, we work with temporomandibular joint problems, right? And then you say, well, my doc says it's in my ears. Yes, we have a vestibular system. We have semicircular canals in there that has fluid, and it has little sensory organs in there. Sometimes we call canalus, right, or stones. And when that fluid and those stones aren't moving properly, yes, you can have vertigo, right, like this. And so then there are some things that we can do to test for that, right? And then we get to our eyes. Not only do we test for the vertigo, let me back up just a second. We test for the vertigo. There's a couple of little maneuvers we can do, specialized maneuvers that we can do to help with getting the fluid and the canalus and the sensory organs in your ears working better. We call that Epley's maneuver. There's others that we can do. So there are things we can do there. And then finally, I want to stop with the eyes, right? The eyes. We have downregulated the information coming into our eyes. And remember, movement is food for the brain, and movement is what gives us that sense of proprioception. And the muscles help our eyes move up and down, side to side. And those muscles, because we read, we do all our stuff, right in front of us at one level in a small plane, our eyes don't really move around as good as they used to. So there are exercises we can do to strengthen the basic eye movements, right, that we can do to drive up the function of those muscles, wake those muscles back up, right, so that they can converge and diverge and move all around. And by doing that, can drive up our sensory perceptions, right? Everything is down-regulated. We want to drive up those sensory perceptions by improving motion, because motion is food for the brain. So dizziness, vertiginous, sometimes vertiginous symptoms, that vertigo symptoms, that loss of balance is multifactorial, has simple solutions that start from the ground up. And as a chiropractor, I'm good at putting motion back into the body. Well, listen, guys, I hope you learned something. We do have some exercises I'd love to share with you if you're having trouble. I'd love to check you out properly. Let's do it right. Let's work together to get your balance back. And I look forward to helping you soon. If I can help you, you please call me at C1 Family Chiropractic. We look forward to helping you.